Some people are always in a hurry. They run when they could walk, race up steps when others take it slow. When Joe Biden's president, America is just going to have to keep up.
Wow. Talk about a fake ad, huh? Fake advertising. We all see that Joe is really slow. For instance, we all know that we have a crisis at the border. Joe finally, after many months, admitted it over the weekend.
We're going to increase the number. The problem was that the refugee part was working on the crisis that ended up on the border with young people. We couldn't do two things at once now. So now we're going to increase the number.
Was the change because of the pushback?
Did you catch the part where he said crisis? Yes, the administration didn't want to do that, but they finally did. Let's bring in Congressman Madison Cawthorn. Welcome back to Newsmax. How are you, sir?
Brother, I'm doing great. And you know what? I have figured out the two worst jobs in the entire country have got to be, one, the sign language interpreter for Joe Biden, and two, his press secretary, because she constantly has to walk back everything the president says because he's not really in charge of the White House.
You know, you're darn right. And she had to do just what you said, walk it back. Here we go. Jen Psaki.
The president does not feel that children coming to our border seeking refuge from violence, economic hardships, and other dire circumstances is a crisis.
He just said it was a crisis. Hey, how hard does this make your job, members of Congress? Who are you dealing with in the administration? Because it really seems obvious now that Joe is not in charge.
Oh, that's the question that we're all asking. It's really who is behind the curtain pulling the strings of their Joe Biden puppet pal. My question of what we're actually going to be able to do to move this country forward is, who are we dealing with? Well, can we trust what the president says? Do we have to go off what Kamala Harris says? Do we have to listen to Jen Psaki? Who is in control? Is it some behind-the-scenes cabal? It makes my job very difficult here in Congress because I don't actually know who I'm dealing with.
So they seem, when they deny it's a crisis, and I think that's the prevailing view, are you of the opinion that they want this to happen? You've heard the theory. They want the cheap labor. They want the new votes. Globalists want the labor. The Democrats want the votes. Is that what's really happening?
I absolutely think that's exactly what it is. I think that the cartels want to make the money, and I think the Democrats want to profit off the power. So I genuinely believe that this border crisis is something that they are actually promoting. You hear that people coming over our border have literally said, we want Joe Biden to keep his promise to us. His promise should only be to the American people to keep them safe. I mean, how hypocritical is it of Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden to put a $16 million border or a fence up around the Capitol or the people's house to defend themselves, but they don't ever want to defend our southern border? It's hypocritical and it's pathetic.
I want to ask you about Ashley Babbitt. Just a few feet from where you are, she was killed by a Capitol Hill police officer. We talk about defending ourselves. You might be not too far from a trigger-happy Capitol Hill police officer. We don't know his name. I personally don't think the investigation has been adequate. What are your thoughts, Congressman? Who's asking about this? Ashley Babbitt, unarmed. Yes, she was trespassing. Yes, she probably committed a crime for which she should have been punished if she had lived. But no one's talking about her death, and a lot of our viewers are upset by that.
It's very sad that no one's talking about their death. Any loss of life, no matter what side of the law the person is on, is very, very tragic. But you're absolutely right. The investigation into what happened on January 6th is not thorough enough. We don't know exactly who was behind it. We don't know who orchestrated everything. We don't really know who was making the calls of who was keeping the National Guard out of this area. Why did we not have enough troops in the area? It's very, very sad. But the problem is this is exactly how the Joe Biden Washingtonians are operating. They want to use smoke and mirrors, and they don't want to have anything transparent. I know some people were offended by some mean tweets by President Trump, but at least we knew what the man was thinking. At least we knew what our government was doing for us. Right now, even me as a member of Congress, with all of the rights and privileges that gives me, I can hardly get any answers. So I can only imagine the frustration that the American people are suffering right now. And this is a reason why we have got to get Democrats out of power. That's why I'm so thankful that all of these states, these 39 state legislatures, the Republicans control, are going to be working for election integrity, because we've got to take the majority away from these bastards. They are hiding away from what's actually happening in this country, and it's a pathetic worse.
Madison Cawthorn, continued success. Thank you very much, Congressman from North Carolina, Republican. To be continued, sir.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.